This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Tuesday, which means it's a top 5 list, top 5 Tuesday as we're calling it, and as you've probably seen already from the title of this video, today we're talking about the top 5 questions that I regularly get asked. I do this kind of video once every few months, maybe once a year, something like that, and all of these questions that we're looking at today, or I'm going to be answering today, have been asked multiple times over the past few months, either in lessons by some of my students, or they've been left in the comment section of this, that or the other video, or some people have even emailed me questions that basically I'm going to be answering today. So let's get cracking straight away with...
Why aren't you on Facebook or Twitter? It's a great way to keep in touch with your audience.
Yeah, so you can kind of file social media under things that I've tried that didn't work. Let me explain that. I go back about maybe 10 years. I was in a band, and that band was trying to get gigs. Despite the fact that I was working full-time doing guitar lessons, and the wife was working full-time as an IT manager at the local council, we decided we would open a shop. We had a typical little seaside gift shop. So that was another business that we had going. I had my guitar tuition business as well, and I also had an album that I was trying to promote and get some traction with. And basically the local council had this enterprise development kind of scheme going on, and if you were a small local business, you could apply to the council for some help. And one thing I knew I was kind of slightly behind the curve on was social media. I didn't really understand how it worked and how you could promote your business with it. So to cut a long story short, I went to the council and said, is this something that you could help with? And they said it was, and they put me in touch with a corporate social media consultancy firm who kind of mentored me for a little while and showed me the best way to kind of post and all the kind of insider secrets of how to make the most of social media. And on one level it worked, because all of these kind of things, the shop, the my tuition business, the album I was trying to promote, all of the sort of stuff, the band, those social media presences grew, many more followers, Facebook friends, subscribers, whatever. It grew. So in that sense, it worked, but in a very real sense about how much money was actually going in the till at the end of the day, it made not one jot of difference. Literally no new customers, no new gigs for the band, nothing like that. So I suppose what also kind of coloured me thinking as well was I didn't find it particularly fun. It wasn't something that I didn't dislike doing it, but it was just another admin task to be posting on social media. And it wasn't really affecting the bottom line of any of these enterprises that I was involved in. So in the end, I just thought, well, this is time and effort expended for no additional, revenue coming in. So I pulled the plug, and to be honest, I haven't missed it. So there you go. That's why I'm not on Facebook or Twitter. Next.
Do you have any plans to play live?
The short answer is no, I don't. I gigged extensively from sort of the late 80s up till about 2014 or thereabouts. And the bottom line is I'm a musician for a living, and the most musicians in this area, when you're talking about gigging, are doing it as a hobby. So it's not very lucrative. You can't really make a living in this area gigging. I suppose I could, if I was willing to go back out on tour and kind of schlepping up and down the motorway, in a transit van or something like that. But I'm past all of that. I'm too long in the tooth, and it's the other thing that sort of colours me thinking is, that one nightmare band that you've been in at some point, where you rehearse for 6 months and it never ever seems to get any tighter. Well, I've been in a few bands like that, where people turn up and, the infuriating thing where you've stayed up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to learn that tricky guitar part or to make sure that you know the songs. Because you got a rehearsal, in a couple of days' time. And you turn up at the rehearsal and, you're the only person who's learned your parts. Harsh words can be exchanged under those circumstances and have been, let me tell you. So, in a way, it's something I kind of miss, but in another way, it's not something that I miss enough to go back to it. And as I say, I've got a living to make, and certainly in this part of the world, you can't pay the bills off the money you earn from gigs. So at the moment, I'm never saying never, with that proviso, never say never. I'm not saying it'll never happen, but at the moment, no, I don't have any plans to go back out playing live. Next.
What's the best guitar you've ever owned?
Oh, that's easy. That's an easy question to answer. This one. This, as you know, is my signature guitar made by Scott Guitars UK. Why wouldn't it be the best guitar I've ever owned? It's made especially for me. It's like, the suit that fits you the best is the one that's, kind of not bought off the peg, but, is made for you by a tailor with your, to your own measurements. And I absolutely love that guitar. It's just the best guitar I've ever owned, no question about it. It does everything I need in a guitar. Humbucker tones, single coil tones, even got that Peter Green out of phase tone lurking in there somewhere. It's a beautifully comfortable guitar to play. Does everything I need. I love it, and it is and will always be the best guitar I've ever owned. Next.
What's the worst guitar you've ever owned?
Now, you see, there's two different answers to this one, because without a shadow of a doubt, the worst guitar I've ever owned was my first electric guitar, this Woolworths Top 20. In retrospect, it was an absolute dog of a guitar, But I didn't know any better at the time. It was an electric guitar, and it was mine, and I loved it. Plugging it into the mic input on my Amstrad stereo, completely ruining the speakers on it. But, it was just a thrill of being able to make this big, loud, raucous noise on a guitar after, kind of strumming away on an acoustic, giving it all the come by R chords and all that sort of stuff. So that would probably be, on one level, the worst guitar I've ever owned. But if we're talking about the most unpleasant playing experience, anything with a locking trem, basically, and I'm choosing this one, the Ibanez RG550 that I had in the early 90s. At the beginning of the 1980s, I was 13 years old, and at the end of the 1980s, I was 23 years old. So you can kind of say that by and large, the 1980s were my adolescent years. Very impressionable, very easily influenced, and you could not open a guitar magazine back then without being bombarded with the kind of super strat, locking trem, hair metal propaganda, if you like. Guitars like this were seen as the pinnacle, the ultimate, the peak of electric guitar evolution that would never be bettered. And I fell for it hook, line and sinker. And, that Ibanez RG550 was the one guitar, after going through a few different variations on a theme of, locking trem, super strat style guitars, that was the one that made me realise that, this isn't the kind of guitar for me. This isn't my cup of tea at all. I don't like locking trems. I don't like skinny necks, and it's just not really suited to the way that I play or my tastes in guitars. And if we're talking about the guitar that was the one that I just didn't like most out of all of the guitars that I've owned, probably that one on recollection and reflection. So either the Woolworths Top 20 or the Ibanez RG550, and I'm going to say the RG550. Next.
What's your favourite beer?
Okay, right, it depends, really. If I am within the locality of the English Lake District, then I will always go for a pint of Hartley's XB. Beautifully crafted, traditional real ale pulled straight from, hand pulled from the barrel. If I'm having a curry, then the ideal pint to go with that is a pint of Cobra, that Indian lager, beautiful stuff. And if I'm just sitting around the house, then just basically, I do like a nice traditional real ale, but there's something about putting that in a can or a bottle that sort of, it's all I can really taste then is all the subtleties of the flavour and everything are gone, and all I really taste is the CO2 that they pump into it to kind of keep it fizzy in the can or the bottle. So if I'm at home, then I will probably just drink some 4% lager. Carling is the one I'm getting at the moment because it's it's reasonably quaffable and it's reasonably cheap. If anybody is close to a branch of Aldi, then I can highly, if you want a 4% lager that's quite palatable and really cheap as well, then check out their Galahad brew that they sell in Aldi. So, any of those. But basically, I suppose my favourite beer is one that I haven't paid for. Somebody buys me a pint, that always tastes a bit better when somebody else has bought it for you, doesn't it? So there you go, folks. Those are the answers to the 5 most frequently asked questions that have come my way in the last few months, last year or thereabouts. And I hope that satisfies your appetite. Keep the questions coming if you want to see another video like this, and I'll probably answer another bunch of these questions sometime later on in a few months. And that is very much the video for today, folks. Hope you found it interesting, enlightening, possibly even a little bit entertaining. And if you have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not give me a like while you're at it? Don't forget the live stream Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer, we talk about music, we talk about guitars. It's a fantastic way to kick off the weekend, and I would love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.